All right, class. So here we go. Today, our guest is Tom Gordon. Tom started something that I bet for once you guys actually know what it is. A set of restaurants called Slim Chickens. I bet you guys have been eating there recently. Slim's, by the way, Tom has the best app for the COVID takeout situation. It's
Yes,
been
I
great.
agree.
Tom, where are you from originally?
So I grew up in Little Rock, Arkansas. I went to Central High, product of public schools, and then I went to Texas Christian University in Fort Worth for undergraduate. Um, Got a little scholarship, a little money. I thought it'd be an interesting place to go, and did that. And then after that, went back to Little Rock for a little while, and then went to LA for a little while, and now here in Fayetteville.
What did you think you were going to be when you grew up, when you went to college?
So my degree was finance and real estate, and I wanted to be a big high-powered stockbroker. And I got my internship with Merrill Lynch when I was a senior, and started working there, I think the last month before graduation. But I was calling old folks for bonds, which was terrible. And about a month of that, and the bond book went out the window, and my restaurant career began.
And how did that happen? Where did you go?
Well, when I quit Merrill Lynch, I went to back to Little Rock, and I had a college degree that was expensive, and I still had student loans to pay off. And so I just got a job as a waiter at Macaroni Grill, a Brinker flagged concept,
Yeah.
back in the heyday when that was a really popular brand. And we were doing big numbers out of all those restaurants. But, I just started off as a waiter, but I had a college degree, and they liked me, and I needed to make money, so I was aggressive in it, and I ended up doing every job in that restaurant: manager, assistant manager, sous chef, line chef, bartender, trainer, everything. And it was a good place to start, good experience for me, and learned a lot about the business, and really learned the restaurant business starting there.
And then how did you end up on the West Coast?
Well, so Brinker offered me a job as an area director. An area director is one who kind of looks after 4 or 5 different restaurants. And I was the second youngest person Brinker ever offered that job to, but I turned it down. I was afraid of it. And I didn't know it then. It was probably entrepreneurship in the back of my mind, but I couldn't recognize that. But I was afraid I'd be beholden to the paycheck. They pay me this. They're going to pay me this vast fortune of like $39,000 a year or something.
Right.
And you get a house and a car, and you get payments, and you're stuck. And I don't want to be stuck. And I guess really what that was my kind of inner unknown psyche back then saying, don't do this. There's an entrepreneurial path for you. Anyway, it's easy to say that that's how it lined up in hindsight, but I didn't do it. And I moved to LA just because I wanted to do restaurants in a bigger city. And I did. I worked for Sunset Conglomerate. We had all the Saddle Ranch chop houses and Miyagi sushi bars and big high volume stores, and learned a lot out there. Learned how to compete in a big city. Learned, carved out my own little niche in a major U.S. metropolitan area, and made friends and business acquaintances and people I still interact with today, and kind of really learned how to compete in that big city environment. And it was good almost 4 year experience out there for me.
And when you got there, what were your first takeaways about the difference between Little Rock, Arkansas and Los Angeles, California?
Well, there's a joke in LA that, no one's from LA. Everybody's from somewhere else, which is kind of like here in Fayetteville, although that's changing. The other thing in LA that people always say is, it's all been done. So, how do you compete where there's a city of 9 million people where everything's been tried or done, or everybody's fighting to carve out a little niche? And that was different. Competition was fierce for every job in the restaurant. Everybody wanted a job at the restaurant. There's entertainment industry folks who have to work at night, and the money is great in that industry in a big city. I was tending bar, and it wasn't uncommon to make $1,000 a night in cash, just, selling drinks and entertaining people. So, I learned the competition was fierce. if you want to make a market stand out, find ways to do it. And, you had to be good. I mean, there just is not room for slackers out there. And, I tried to bring some of that motivation and competitive techniques that I learned out there to the Slims brand today. And I think it's helped us. I mean, we're where we are today after that.
So what is the origin story? How did Slims come to be?
So when I was out in LA, my partner, Greg Smart, who was doing retail here in Northwest Arkansas, called me and said, no one's doing a fresh tender brand. No one is doing this right. I've seen some brands on the East Coast and Southeast, and Fail's growing like crazy, and I'm here, and no one's doing it here in Northwest Arkansas at all. So why don't we start here, and we can spoke off to Tulsa and Kansas City, Oklahoma City, and Dallas, and we've done all that now. And so Greg really had the idea, but he didn't know what to call it or what to do with it or anything. And I'd been doing restaurants, so I could run a P&L, make a schedule, and knew how to make an order for food, handle a balance sheet. And kind of had all the, the training and just the work history to lead this organization. And because typically finance folks and operations people are, like this.
Right.
I mean, I was a finance guy first out of college, then I went around the operations. So I had, a little of both, which helped a lot in starting the company.
Yeah.
But that's how it started, and we got it going in 2003. And the rest is history.
And where are we now? How many stores? How many places? What's it look like?
As of next week, we will be at 112 restaurants. 21 of those are corporate stores that the corporation owns. We have 9 restaurants in the United Kingdom, mostly around London and the south part of the country. We have 2 in Kuwait. We expect to do another 6 in the UK next year, and probably 2 more in Kuwait next year, along with 45 to 50 domestic restaurants next year. So we got a busy year ahead, busy pipeline ahead. We're already actually pushing stores into 2022 because we're looking like we're just out of capacity for 2021 now.
Yeah.
And look, that's a high class problem. I'm very pleased to have to wrestle with that, and proud of my guys for getting the sales done and getting the deals accomplished so we can go out there and execute on that trajectory.
And in your sort of franchise stores, who are the franchisees? Are they typically groups who have franchises for other things? Are they individual people? Or what's the conference look like when you bring all the owners together?
There are no individuals anymore. It's more typically the group that has 20 Sonics or 50 Wendy's or 9 Subways. And what we look for is one, capital capacity, but also, organizational infrastructure.
Sure.
They teaching somebody how to account for a restaurant is not in our bailiwick. Like, they didn't know how to do that. And HR and the things that make a business run need to be kind of in the background and ready to go, because our minimum deal is 3. Most of our deal sizes like to do 5 to 10 restaurants, a lot of 7 and 8s.
Yeah.
And to do that, you have to have organizational infrastructure that can carry your capital to its logical conclusion through the investment. Otherwise, you end up with wasted money and time, and people aren't happy. I mean, we want our franchisees to make a lot of money and be happy. And that, but for why they have the reasoning and the ability to go do the restaurants, not that they're just a single unit operator.
Yeah. Yeah. What's left on the to-do list? What are the things other than just adding numbers? What are the big things that you'd like to see happen?
Well, I think that brand relevance across the United States, but that comes with numbers. We want to be known. We want to be known as a good company, a good corporate citizen, a good restaurant company, a good place to work. We call it life-changing chicken because it has changed, my life, and hopefully it's changed for the better the lives of those who work in the organization, changed the lives of those who franchise the business with us, and hopefully, change the lives of the customers come and eat with us on a daily and weekly basis. I mean, that sort of commercial brand relevance is important, but that comes with size and scale.
Yeah.
I think also what's left is to, in dear Northwest Arkansas with the another major brand that can be flagged here and say, this is a great place to live, great place to work, great place to start a company. You know, in 20 years when the conversation is about this part of the country, they'll say, you know, Walmart, Tyson, JB Hunt, and Slim Chickens instead of just the big three.
Yeah, that's right. I like that. What do you want to tell these kids if you were sitting in an undergrad entrepreneurship class in the middle of a pandemic where, you know, this week has been particularly screwed up for them? Like our technology went off squirrely early in the week, like Blackboard was down, you know, it's been like that. You know, there have been gremlins this year for sure. Yeah, if you were, you know, what words of wisdom do you have?
You know, in terms of the COVID slant, the only answer to that is like, you know, you got to just trudge on. You can't stop, and COVID can't be an excuse to stop a project or not finish a class or not get a degree or not keep building your company. You got to just find ways around it.
Yeah.
I think in general, and what I tell others when I speak to them is, you know, I mean, I'm 45 years old. I've been pretty successful, and it seems mysterious to someone younger. And it was mysterious to me when I was in my 20s. And I try to just dispel the mystery. It is hard work. It takes a long time to get to where you're going. You got to stick with it. But there are strategies to allow entrepreneurs and thinkers to win, in my opinion. Number one being, and just stay ahead of problems. If you got some problem coming at you, get the stakeholders together and let's figure it out. If you can't pay a bill, let them know before they try to cash the check.
Yeah.
Work with your people. Just stay ahead, because look, you'll have problems. You'll have problems. You'll have fights. You'll have arguments. You'll have issues. That's a absolute known. That is as known as death and taxes when it comes to entrepreneurship, is problems getting to the top of the mountain. But if you can really try to work with those who you have to work with every day, and not give them a reason to stay down the river or to be angry, and stay ahead of issues and problems with those that are really relevant to your business, that's a big step and a big piece of the puzzle that I think is lost, and has been lost even more with the kind of lack of interpersonal communication.
Yeah.
And don't let them find out the hard way. You know, pick up the phone, make a phone call, speak, do this, but find a way to work together. And if you'd be amazed if you can get, just ask, hey, I need 4 more days to pay that tab. If you hear that before you get a bounce check, goes a long way.
Yeah. No, I couldn't agree more. I started the class with sort of talking to them about personality and sort of just knowing yourself and knowing your own shit going into it, so that when inevitably you make somebody mad or whatever, you can just say like, oh man, yeah, sorry, I do stuff like that. You know, like, ugh.
It's a very valuable question. And look, the position in what you do changes over time. I've been doing this for 17 years. And look, and I don't know if I'm the right leader for what we need today. I think I could do it. But what I know looking back is, you know, I was really good when it was war. Like when there was no turning back and you had to kill and win and fight and scrap, I was great. It's less of a battle now. And, you know, at some point there might need to be a president really running the show that's a little different than me. I mean, you know, under my tutelage, of course, but there always needs to be new injection of ideas and new thinking about how to broaden the base of customers that really drive business. And, you know, it's an interesting question for all of us. Like, we were really good at the, you know, bare knuckle fight of entrepreneurship and birthing a brand. You know, are we the best leadership team for the foreseeable future? I think for the foreseeable future we are. For the long-term future, I mean, who knows? You know, it's a question worth asking and examining, because it's not nearly as much of a fight as it once was for us.
Sure. Well, and I think it's one to just have in the loop, you know, to just ask over and over, because it all, you know, death, taxes, and change, right? Certainties,
Right.
only certainties. Whatever you think you've got figured out will necessarily change, for sure. Well, thank you so much for your time and for talking through Chris. And I'm sure everybody's already doing it, but if you're not, go order some Slims.
Yes, please do. Thank you.
But